Hello, beautiful souls. Happy New Year. We're in 2022. 2021 is over and we're on to a fresh start. I don't know about all of you, but I felt like 2021 was massively activating. There were a lot of ups and downs, of course, as there always will be. 12 months is both long and short, but there's a lot of room in 12 months for a lot of energies to play out. But I don't feel, when we left 2020, I was like, whew, I'm glad that's over, even though I knew it wouldn't, the themes wouldn't be over, right? The things that were hard about 2020 wouldn't be over, but I knew that crossing a threshold into a new year was going to have a new energy, and it was going to feel, I intuitively knew it was going to feel better than 2020 did. Well, I feel like 2022 is going to be just an incredibly sweet year, full of sweetness. And when I say sweetness, I mean just a feeling of the most delicious honey on our tongues. There's going to be so much reward for the squeeze that we continue to experience at the same time. And so this recording is a tarot and Akashic year ahead projection for 2022, and it's for the collective. However, it's for you, those of you who watch. So, if this information I don't think would apply in the same way to somebody who doesn't resonate with me and wouldn't watch this video of their own accord, right? So if you try to show your friend who is really not spiritual at all, this isn't going to resonate for them, and they'll probably just feel very skeptical and just very dismissive. But for you, for everybody who naturally gravitates to me and finds themselves in my community, in my orbit, on any level, this is for you. This is talking about the energetics of your year, okay? But it is for the collective, so each of us will have our own personal experience through the year. So let's start with the overall flavor of the year. This is the 10 of Cups. Before I go into it, I'll just say that I know people often ask, because these cards are so beautiful. I am using the Moonchild Tarot deck by Danielle Noel. So the 10 of Cups, trying to get the light right. Oof, that light. Regardless, the 10 of Cups is the flavor of this year is going to be fulfillment. It is the fulfillment of our heart's desires. It is emotional fulfillment. The suit of the Cups is about emotions, psychic experiences. It's the heart. It's the suit of the heart. So we're going to be feeling I can't say, I don't know how it will feel throughout the entirety of the year. We'll journey through this together. But the overall flavor, especially looking back at this exact time next year, at the very precipice of 2023, we will look back on 2022 and feel like we have just feasted on milk and honey, just beautiful fulfillment of things that matter to us so much, the things that we actually deeply desire. Some of them may be material things, and there's nothing wrong with that. For example, I'm in a season right now where I've just moved into a house that I have been dreaming of for several decades, and there is a sweetness to that. That's the kind of fulfillment it is. So the experience of living in this house is a material experience. The house is a material object. It's a material space, whatever. But the experience of fulfillment is one of my actual dreams coming true, my actual dreams manifesting. So it's like an emotional thrill, an emotional fulfillment, and that is how we will feel, is receiving things and experiencing things that we have been dreaming of for, it can feel like so long. that maybe even a part of us was ready to give up. And maybe part of us did kind of give up in that really brilliant surrender way, where when you finally surrender it and stop micromanaging the universe, suddenly it comes in. This year is going to yield that to us. And I have a feeling that it's going to be, even though it will play out for all of us individually in these ways, like the example I gave of my house, or a relationship you've been dreaming of, or an experience you've been dreaming of, family, some kind of like a creative career, whatever it is that you experience through your human avatar. I have a feeling that ultimately for the collective, what it is going to be is that incredibly moving realization that, fuck, we know how to play this game. We know how to play this game. We know how to make manifestation work, and it's actually easy. And we know how to then combine our manifestational brilliance together to create something new. It's like the gateway to the creation of how we've always known it could be. How we have always known it could be, especially us as starseeds, as beings who have incarnated in different places before, different experiences, different realms. We've been alive in different dreams, and the dreams were much more beautiful, much more harmonious and efficient. We've always known it could be this way, and it's been frustrating for us on Earth, maddeningly, depressively frustrating. And to me, 2022 feels like the actual beginnings of the real manifestation. And when I say beginnings, I don't mean like the tiny little hints that you have to have faith with, but like the real, seeing things manifest that we've always known it could be this way. And yet it's the beginning, because it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. So that's an amazingly auspicious card to turn over for the year ahead. The next card that I pulled was about what did we master in 2021? Like, what have we completed? What have we integrated that is allowing us to move forward in this? What have we, what can we pat ourselves on the back for? And the card that turned over for this one was the King of Wands. So the King of Wands to me represents like a true charismatic leader, a true leader. One who is charismatic, is animated, is has a beautiful outward projecting energy. Someone who is comfortable being seen, but is in true integrity. So what he says or what she says is true. Because it's a king, I'll just refer to him as a he, but just know that this isn't about a man. This isn't an external leader. It is the energy of a man, the energy of a leader of high integrity, a leader who has that sparkly, showy quality, who can, tell a story and pull us all in. And so to me, when I saw this card and I saw it lined up with the next ones that I'll talk about, I felt that what we have really mastered, what it's telling us is that we have really, really strongly discerned for ourselves what is true leadership. Who do we want to give our attention to? Who really has the right to hold our attention? And just that the feeling of being able to believe in that person, that it's probably not somebody who is in a position of power, who has a lot of, it's not a leader who's in government, for example. It's not a leader who has campaign donors, and it's not a leader who uses Photoshop or, who has fancy equipment who has a stage. There's no veneer, is what I'm saying. It's like the understanding that who do we really resonate with? It's somebody who can tell the story of who we are. I'm really seeing like, sort of like tribal cultures around a fire together, and like the elder, the leader of that community telling the group's stories, and they've heard the stories so many times because that's what they do. They gather around the fire and they tell their stories. But the way he tells the stories is like it reconnects them with the truth of who they are, the truth of the message that's being conveyed. It connects them to the cosmos, to the earth. It connects them inward through the portal of the heart. It's coming to me right now as I speak about this, that really one could see the Christ as being such a leader. The Christ, or the Buddha, somebody who is an everyday person, somebody who is, even though they're in a position of leadership, they don't hold it as like a personal superiority over others, or that they are of higher import than others. They're not more important. They are of the people that they lead. And they tell these stories and they connect deeply and they weave together understandings and create new pathways of possibilities. It's like somebody who can, I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey, like the power of our stories, our stories. Conveying messages that go right into the heart and like illuminate the listeners and connect them back with their power and their magic, so that they don't feel that the power is in this person. They feel that the power is within them and that they belong with this person, that they are of the same community as this person. So I feel like what we really mastered is a remembering of how to discern between a false leader and a real leader, and how to give our attention to true leaders. And that doesn't even necessarily have to mean a person, right? It's just like, I feel like we've gotten much better at deciding what are we gonna pay attention to? What are we gonna watch on YouTube or Rockfin or Odyssey? What are we going to listen to on our podcast? What music are we gonna listen to? Whose forecasts are we gonna watch? And how does it make us feel? It's just like being drawn to that air of like authenticity. And it's like a radiant, magnetizing, inspiring as fuck authenticity. So then so that's what we've mastered. So what are we currently mastering? And this is really exciting. This is another wand. So I should have said the suit of wands for the King of Wands. The suit of wands is all about like, it's an outward energy. It's like razzle dazzle. It's like passionate artistic expression or performance. It is a creative impulse, a creative project. It's passion, it's fire, it's getting something done, it's inspiration, motivation. So what we are mastering still, what we are bringing forward from, last year, possibly the year before, into this year of 2022 is the Ace of Wands. So it is another wands. It is another member of the theme of passion, inspiration, creativity, drama, theatrics, entertainment. But it's, to me, this whole reading is like, man, Like, we have really done a great job at discerning things, and we are now the wands is also the suit of manifestation. And I feel like this is like what we are mastering is the beginnings of the real power of our manifestation abilities. Like, the ace is the beginning. The ace is the first card of the suit of wands. It is like the spark of inspiration. It is like the blooming forth of the tip of the iceberg of what we can actually manifest. Because consider this, everything in the man-made world or human-made world only exists due to our manifestational capacities, okay? Everything. Like, we have achieved amazing things, and yet that is not our pure creation. That is not our pure manifestation. That is our manifestation abilities that have been harnessed by other beings who are unable to manifest and create the way that we can because of their free will decision to disconnect from source. All manifestation comes from source. All manifestation comes from the 0 point field, and the 0 point field is love. It is a frequency that matches the emotion, the experience. It's a frequency that matches what we call love. There are there are beings in this universe, on Earth, affecting Earth, off Earth, non-physical and physical, who have, by their own free will, chosen to disconnect, have chosen to rebel from source, or God, or creator, or the oneness that is all, whatever words you want to use to describe it. And they have done so for reasons that, is a whole other discussion. But it is like the ultimate free will rebellion to like be completely separate from source and to create something apart from that which is one with source, although that's not truly possible, of course. But in order to do that creating, they have to use other beings that are still connected to source and manipulate, and we are those beings. There are probably others that are, as powerfully creative and connected to source as humans are. But they do this by programming us, traumatizing us, manipulating us, and thereby harnessing our creative powers, keeping us in a lower frequency where we forget who we are, we forget what we're capable of, we don't remember how to play the game, we don't remember that this is a dream, this is a dream realm. We are, very focused on lower chakra trauma. So it's not just focused on lower chakra. The lower chakras are beautiful. The root, the sacral, the solar plexus, those are beautiful chakras with absolutely vibrant magic and medicine of their own. But they have us focused on traumas of the lower chakras. And of course, traumas of the heart chakra, the throat, fluoriding the crap out of our pineal glands, keeping our crowns, some of us keeping our crowns open and using us for psychic, like tapping our psychic abilities, others keeping our crowns closed. The point is that we have created so much as humans. We've created so much in this world, so much. And yet those are not pure creations. Those are creations that have been directed by beings that are pulling our puppet strings. And to me, this card is talking about that this is the year where we begin to see, oh, holy shit, we are magic. Holy shit, manifestation is a thing that, no knocks to Abraham Hicks or whatever, but like it's not just a new agey nice thought. It's how we operate. It's how we operate, and we are in control of it, and we can manifest so much more. We haven't even, up until now, we haven't even begun to see, to understand, to remember what we are capable of manifesting. And I believe that this is the year where we begin to see. I believe this is the year where, and it's the ace of wands. We begin to see what we are able to direct our creative magic energy towards, what we are able to manifest through that disciplined directing of our creative energy. And again, it's only the beginning. It's only the beginning, but this is the year where we begin to see. And then what we are mastering, interestingly, is another. So the next card is, what is the new lesson that's coming in this year? What is the new lesson? And it is another Wands card. It is the 10 of Wands. So in the tarot, it takes us on a little journey, each suit. It goes from the Ace to the 10, and then it has the court cards of Page, Knight, Queen, and King. And the journey from Ace to 10 is like a journey of mastery of its own. So the 10 of Wands to me is like when a project, I like to conceive of the wands as in terms of a creative project. It's like when a creative project goes from the very idea phase in the Ace, and it materializes and goes through its whole evolution. By the time it gets to the 10, it has solidified and grown and taken on a life force of its own. It's no longer a little baby project. It's no longer a little sprout. It is now like it has its own creative energy. And to illustrate what I mean, I will use the example of the priestess codes or the priestess transmissions that came through to me just over a year ago. Those are powerful transmissions. Actually, I channeled them. The instructions came in just over a year ago, but I actually channeled them in January. So a year ago. And at the beginning, they were, even though the transmissions were so powerful, it was still a brand new little seedling of a creation. And it required maintenance and tending to. It required some protection. And it has grown and it has grown, and it is now a creation with a life force of its own. The priestess, those of us involved in the project, we often very seriously refer to like, what is the priestess desire? Because we realize that none of us is actually in the driver's seat of this project. It has its own intentions. And that's what the 10 of Wands is about. So we are mastering our own manifestational abilities, but we are also, like, the new lesson that's coming in as we realize, like, wow, we can manifest these things for real. Like again, this isn't like a nice new age sentiment. This is like, oh, this is how we operate. This is what we do day in and day out with every single breath. Every single breath is a manifestation. Everything that we think of, that we do, is a projection of the culmination in any given moment of our beliefs, the stories that, we have constructed around those beliefs that feed them, the emotions that are conjured by those beliefs, and what we desire. And so as we learn to harness all of that with discipline and to direct it where we want it to go, we're going to start manifesting like crazy. And I already started feeling it at the end of this past year. Like in the fall, I was like, wow, manifestation is happening so fast. Like mind-blowingly fast. And so very much behooves us to keep a close inventory on our thoughts and our emotions and our beliefs. And that's not meant to be critical or scary in anyone. It's just like, we're so powerful. We don't want to be, as Abraham Hicks says, like, we don't want to be sloppy thinkers. So as that momentum picks up and that speed picks up and manifestation keeps happening faster and faster, as more and more resistance is left behind and the general frequency of consciousness continues to rise on Earth amongst human beings, we will get to a point where the manifestations will develop like a life force of their own. And that will be something, I don't foresee us mastering that this year. It's like we're going to kind of start to realize that towards the end of the year. Is like, okay, it's not like this truly is a co-creation. So it's like remembering that we are extremely powerful, but also that our individual 3D will is not what is in charge. And that the things that we manifest begin to, how do I put it? It's almost like we are bringing, I don't want to make this sound scary. It's like, it's not meant to be scary. We are portals. We, through our manifestation, we open portals to the blooming of new potential timelines into physical expression. And nothing is inanimate. Nothing is devoid of the consciousness of source, not even the most synthetic materials. It's impossible. Everything is source. And the more we manifest at a level of like kind of moving in a direction that is like an elevated frequency of consciousness, we manifest with higher integrity. We manifest things that are in closer harmony with the laws of nature and the laws of the cosmos. The more we are inviting in consciousness, like manifestations that have a consciousness of their own and that can kind of like self-maintain. And it's kind of going to be a lesson around the ego and releasing, remaining more layers. I was going to say the remaining vestiges, but it'll probably be a process. But releasing more layers of ego attachment to how things play out and how manifestations go. It'll be sort of an understanding of like, okay, yeah, we are magic, but more importantly, like everything is magic. The universe is magic. Like we are special, but we are also not gods. We are of God. We are fractal fragments, brilliant creators, fractals of God, but we are not gods. And it's a very important distinction. So that's the energy of the overall year. Now I have broken it down into months and and quarters and months. So I will move through these a little bit more quickly. So the first quarter, the energy of the first quarter is the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands is a court card. It is like those first, I don't know, it's like the first layers or levels of mastery over the energy. And so again, we're talking about wands, and wands is the manifestation energy, the creative energy, the outward, like, and it's an outward expression. So January, February, March, the first quarter, we are really going to start feeling that. But the Page of Wands symbolically to me is like the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Or if you are a Star Wars person, it's like Ahsoka Tano at the very beginning of the Clone Wars, like maybe in the Clone Wars movie or whatever, when she became Anakin's Padawan. It's like somebody who's like fierce, full of heart, like so like confident, like they just want to get in there. They're ready for the adventure. They're ready to be in it. And yet they're not ready. They if allowed, they will choose to skip the foundational pieces, but they cannot do that. They can't skip the foundational pieces. It doesn't serve them, but they want to. That stuff is boring to them. They don't want to do the foundational stuff. They want to get to the good stuff. So it's like the energy of the first quarter is that we're all feisty Padawans, very capable. Our magic is literally at our fingertips and on the tip of our tongue. And we're starting to see the results of it, but we want big results. We're like, it's like listening to this reading and being like, yeah, fucking bring it. I'm ready. But we still have some foundational lessons to learn. And January turned over the Devil. So the Devil is a major arcana card. And the last time I turned at the Devil in a year ahead reading, because this is, I think, like my 5th year ahead reading, I did them for myself privately before I started doing them for others. And I think this is my first time recording one for the collective. The last time I turned over the Devil was in 2020, and I didn't want to see it. And I wanted it to be symbolic. I wanted it to be about themes of temptation and bondage and self-sabotage. And it turned out to be much more like the literal devil. It was the year where I really learned that people do believe in Satan. And because people believe in Satan, Satan is real. I'm not saying that Satan is an actual real being, but I'm also not saying that Satan is not a real being, because I don't know. But I know that the devil energy is realer than I previously wanted to believe. I really didn't want to look at it, and I didn't want to think about it, and it used to scare me a lot. And over the last 2 years, since first turning this card in a year ahead reading, I turned it as the flavor of the year. Wasn't that true for 2020? I have learned so much. I have learned so much. If you were on the, if you attended or watched the Understanding Entities Masterclass, you will have heard some of what I learned. Even though I had danced with entities before, I really just didn't want to look at them. I didn't want to think about them. And so I leaked my power to them because I wasn't ready to face that. So as I turn this over in January, it's a major arcana card, which means that it's a big deal. Now, will this show up externally? I don't know. But when I look at it alongside the other cards that came up for the first quarter, I see that it is about the themes of temptation and bondage and self-sabotage. And it feels to me like there's going to be some important tempering of solidifying of our integrity as we begin to play with the fullness of our manifestation power. It's like when we accept that we have this much power and we begin to play in that realm, we need to be given almost like a test. Part of me really bucks against that because I don't believe it's like a test like you could fail. But it's like we need to be given a choice, because this is a free will realm. So if we are going to yield this level of magic and this level of power and come back into remembering what we are capable of, like truly, again, truly, then we need to be given a test insofar as a choice, a free will choice, and a reminder, like, do we choose to use this from a place of ego? And so we might find temptations, or we might bear witness to, to bondage, meaning like addictions, or when you've made a choice from wanting like quick, like instant gratification, and not wanting to think about the price that will be paid down the road. And, you know, sometimes we watch people and we can see, or we experience it ourselves, and we can see like, oh, you know, in Once Upon a Time, that TV show from ABC from some years ago, the character Rumpelstiltskin would say, magic always comes with a price. And that is true. That is true. And we need to know how to wield that from a space of heart-centered integrity, such that what we choose to create is something that has a price maybe that we pay up front. It's a little bit like credit cards. Like, you know, it's tempting. You get a credit card and isn't it tempting to go and spend some money on all the things that you've wanted for so long? But you have to pay it back, and you have to pay it back with interest. And there's often some, like, you know, fine print, you know, other things that we didn't know, little additional costs that make it so that when we have to pay it back, it's sometimes like the price we pay is way more than the actual item was worth. It's a little bit like that, and we'll see how it plays out for the collective. I feel good energy in the month of January, but I also feel overall like the first quarter is going to be kind of an integration where we're doing the foundational work that the Page of Swords or Page of Wands would love to skip. And so the card for February is the Hanged Man, which is another major arcana card. And the Hanged Man, it's not a hanging man. There's no noose. It's just talking about suspense, and it's talking about waiting for the other shoe to drop. And it feels like, I feel like the message around this card is to just hold the frequency. And I know that's been guidance that's come through a lot over the last 2 years. But that's what comes through as I tune into it, is like, hold the frequency, hold the frequency. We're waiting for another shoe to drop. I don't know what that shoe is. I have some suspicions, but they're not very well formulated. And it can be anything, but it's like, hold the frequency. Notice that the art on this card, the Hanged Man, is in absolute grace. He or she is in his or her grace as he or she is hanging, not fighting it, just allowing itself to be in that. It's like a ripening position. Like, you don't want to pluck. The analogy I use is, you don't want to pluck the fruit before it's ripe, because when you take a bite of that fruit, it's going to be sour and starchy and not good, and you're going to have to throw it away, and you can't put it back on the tree. So just relax and let the fruit ripen. And the energy is to just like, let it ripen. Let the process ripen. Whatever it is, let it ripen. Let the fibers of the fruit or the apple, let those fibers of the stem soften, so that the fruit, when it's time to be plucked, it almost just like falls right off the tree, and it's like soaked with sun and deliciousness and beauty. It's like, that's most peak perfection. Just allow the process to happen. And then the card for March is another major arcana card, and it is the Hermit. And so all together combined, these cards for the first quarter feel like this is an integration. This is like that foundational work. The Hermit is like, I mean, obviously, Hermit is being in one's own company, but it's kind of like the hardest part of manifesting is holding it, holding the belief, holding the frequency of it, holding the gratitude that you feel for it, holding it in your nervous system, like you can feel it, even in the absence of the actual thing. That is the real tricky part about manifestation, because that's when all of your limiting beliefs come up and, like, bleh, like try and freak you out and do their boogeyman thing. All of your fears, all of your limiting self-talk, all of your trauma around it, everything that's trying to protect you from disappointment and tell you to just settle for whatever and that this stuff is all bullshit and it doesn't work. Whatever traumas we have, right, that have us convinced that we're something other than what we are, the magical fucking beings that we are, that stuff comes up in that little gap, that little interim space before the manifestations burst through. And it is for us to be in our grace and to hold the frequency. That's the test, because this is all a dream, my friends. This is all a dream. This reality is but a dream. And so when you hold the frequency of it and you hold it and you let those peripheral fears and limiting beliefs and those boogeyman traumas come up and try and scare you off of the frequency, and you just stay steady in this period of, like waiting for it to come, waiting for the other shoe to drop, and you just stay in your grace and you hold the frequency and you come into deep relationship with yourself where you're like, wow, all of the magic is on the inside anyway. It's all inside me. I contain everything that I want. I am my own source. I am my own wellspring of everything that I want. I can conjure up the feeling of anything without even having to have it. I am complete within myself. That is the real test. That is the real foundation work. And that is what allows us to move up the ladder of mastery. So then, moving into Q2, we have another page. This time it is the Page of Swords. So again, the page is the energy of like that first rung of mastery. The swords, we haven't seen any swords yet in this reading. The swords is the suit of the intellect. It is intellectual discernment. It is like cognitive understanding. It's being able to conceive of something, hold like dexterity and nimbleness in our minds so that we are not rigid in our thinking. We are not black and white, but we are also not gullible and falling for just anything. And the Page of Swords kind of reminds me of the sort of symbol I use for that is Harry Potter. Harry Potter did not feel like he was brave. He did not feel like he was special. He was full of self-doubt, and yet he stepped up anyways. Like he felt the fear and he did it anyways. That's really the guidance of the Page of Swords. It's like feeling the fear and doing it anyways. And so, interestingly, for April, it is the 10 of Pentacles. And that to me suggests that April is when we will really start to see the fruits of everything that we have been holding and working on and manifesting through our underworld journey in January, February, and March. The 10 of Pentacles is like, like the shit comes in. It's physical material stuff. It is the physical manifestation of our creative magic and power. So I feel like it's going to come in and it's going to be amazing and we're going to rejoice. We're probably going to feel a little bit like, whoa, like I think with the Page of Swords, it's like, I'm starting to understand the power that I wield. Like, whereas the Page of Wands is like, oh, that sounds awesome, Amy. Bring it, give it to me. And then we have to go through that journey with the Devil and the Hanged Man and the Hermit. And then it's a little bit like, that was hard. That doesn't really feel good, but I stayed in my strength. I stayed in my grace. I held the frequency, but oh, that was really intense. It's like paying the price up front, doing all that shadow work up front so that you don't get the riches, you don't get the Lamborghini, you don't get, whatever random things. I don't know what anybody even wants anymore these days, but you don't get it before you've done the work to solidify your frequency, right? Because when you get it before you're ready, like a lot of times people turn into jerks and they treat other people like garbage and it goes to their head. So we're paying the price in advance in January, February, and March. And then boom, April, pew, in it comes. And it can feel intimidating and scary. Again, back to the flavor of the second quarter, the Page of Swords, kind of like realizing like, oh, holy shit, I am magical and powerful, and it's not necessarily easy. And even though our beautiful manifestations come in, it's like realizing like I have a lot of power and I'm only beginning to remember how to use it. It's like, I don't know, like just learning how to drive and driving a Mustang. I'm not a car person, so I don't know why I use these analogies, but like getting in a Mustang or getting in a vehicle that is like a racing car, something with a lot of horsepower, and you're like, whoa, like I'm just learning how to drive. I'm like, okay, whoa, I'm really glad that I, went through the process of in January, February, and March of like learning the layout of this car. But still, when I get, when I put my foot on the gas, it's like, that's a lot faster. This is a lot more powerful than I thought it was. And yet things still stay really good. In May, it's the Nine of Pentacles. So we get the Ten of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles. And to me, that they could have been reversed. It's just saying like, the good stuff is coming in. It's coming in. The things that we are manifesting, it's coming in, and it's physical and it's material and we're not having to hold the faith around it anymore. It is actually coming in, and it's going to be a little bit like you want to pinch yourself and be like, am I awake? Is this possible? I've wanted these things for so long. How can it have been this easy? How can they really be here? And that's where we really have to like return to that cognitive discernment and be like, these are all of these thoughts that want to sabotage this right now because it's so good and I'm not used to it being so good and it makes me feel unsafe. It makes me feel like the rug is going to get pulled out from under me. Those are all mind-based fears. And I just have to like, I love this picture. It's like holding the sword of truth and connecting with like the mind and the third eye and acknowledging like I can see through my own self-deception. I can see through my own fears and my own lack of self-confidence. And even if I feel wobbly in my confidence, I can proceed anyway. And then the energy changes a little bit in June. The card that came up is the Queen of Cups, which is, the Queen of Cups is like deep psychic healing. And as I'm tuning into this just right now, what I feel as the message coming through is that in April and May, we just see all these things come in and manifest. And again, they're material manifestations. And then in June, we go through this little process or this important process of releasing the material or releasing the emphasis on the material and realizing that this whole journey is actually a journey of returning to the truth of who we are, deep self-love, deep self-worth, our actual psychic giftings, our actual abilities, our abilities to communicate telepathically, to see clearly with our third eye, to hear clearly with our clairaudience, to be able to do psychic healing, to connect with each other on levels that, we have just chalked up to like fantasy works of entertainment, fantasy movies, fantasy novels. comic books. But it's actually true about us. And that's what all of this is about. And the remembering of our manifestation abilities isn't for the sake of, it's not for the sake of the material items, but it's okay that we manifested them materially. But it's sort of like once that is fulfilled, we up level into like the Queen of Cups is this deep, she is an ocean of like wordless psychic understanding and healing and love frequency. She is like, I was going to say the Divine Mother, but I mean, all the queens they're just different versions of the Divine Mother, but she is I don't know, she's just this deep heart and this deep psychic connection. She's the mother or the grandmother figure that you come to with your broken heart and your wounds, and you don't even have to speak a word. You don't have to tell her anything. And somehow she just knows, and she holds your face in her hands with like gentleness and love, and she transmits so much healing to you. And it's just so healing to be seen and received and held. That's the energy of the Queen of Cups. But it's us we are the ones who are embodying it. It's like we get this fulfillment of our manifestation powers, and we begin to see like what we are capable of, and then all of a sudden, like it just clicks, and we're like, oh, it was never about these material things. It's about something so much bigger. It's about who we are in the universe. It's about who we are to each other. It's about an ability to communicate with clarity without words, because we're so deeply and intrinsically connected. It's a beautiful energy to move into. It kind of reminds me of like doing a plant medicine trip, although it's not necessary in order to feel this feeling. But it's like Bill Hicks said, like squeegeeing off your third eye and just like seeing the truth of the interconnectedness and the miracle of the realm that we're in, and the miracle of ourselves, and the miracle of each other, and just like, we have it all. We are it all. There is nothing to want, and yet we still get to want. But there actually is nothing to want. Everything is so much more beautiful than we previously knew. So the second quarter is like, a lot of growth happens there. The flavor of the third quarter for the summer is strength. This is a major arcana card, and in the context of this whole reading, what it feels like to me is like, like even just look at this art as a follow-up to the Queen of Cups. This art is like, she is leaning on this lion, and this lion is so powerful and could, tear her apart. And yet he is serene and relaxed. He's like a purring cat beside her. And she is in a posture of divinity, with like hand mudras, and she's holding herself in alignment in her power and her strength, and she is the energy that is dictating her energy is leading the energy of the lion. So it's kind of like, once we graduate through that portal of June, of coming into like mushroom level lucidity, of who we are and what is happening here. It's like a rearranging of our priorities, a total clarifying of our priorities. And then from there, we proceed with this like incredible grace where we can be in this world and we can watch whatever is going down, because as you may notice, this reading seems to have nothing to do with the dramas and the narratives of the world. That none of the energy or the guidance that's channeling through me seems to have anything to do with that. And I'm just being an open vessel to translate it. It feels like it's all about us coming into mastery for ourselves as leaders of like what is really going on here and what is possible for us. And so we hold ourselves in this posture of absolute, like, look at the serenity in her being. She is not focus. She is not worried about anything. She is completely in a space of absolute knowingness. It's not just faith anymore. It's like, it's knowing that her frequency tames lions, that her frequency dream weaves realities. And so we operate from this space. This is the flavor of the third quarter of the summer, is this frequency of strength and grace, all embodied in one. Strength, grace, knowing that the storm can rage and we are in absolute strength, and knowing of our power, and knowing that this is not just, I don't know about all of you, but if you've been on this journey for a long time, there's a point where it kind of got like hard to believe, because you just keep watching these YouTube videos about like, whatever, blah, 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 and star seeds and this and that, and that's happening. And you just feel like, but nothing's changing. Like this is like when we realize like, I hold the frequency and I create a whole reality. I tame lions through the power of my frequency. That's how important I am. And so the card for July is the 8 of Pentacles. So the Pentacles is all about, I suppose I didn't say this back last quarter when we were talking about the 10 and the 9 of Pentacles, but now we're on the 8 of Pentacles. And the Pentacles is all about the material realm, which is why I was saying that it's our manifestations, materially manifesting. But the 8 of Pentacles is about like becoming a master of your craft. And to me, this is about like we are now becoming master manifestors, mastering the physical realm, mastering it, what it actually means, what's really important, how to be here and create and thrive. Not just be here and be like, oh my God, why did I choose this life? Like, this place is fucked. But be here in like that beautiful posture with the mudras, the strength, the grace of the complete knowing, like, I know how to be here. I get it. It's like what I'm seeing right now is in the scene at the end of Moana, when she's walking through the pathway on the water over to Taka, the demon that was so angry. That was actually Te Fiti, who was, enraged. And Moana is just walking in strength and grace and knowing as Taka comes barreling towards her. And, it looks like Taka is going to just annihilate her, but she walks knowing that she, in the holding of her frequency and the seeing things for what they are, seeing the truth beyond the sort of like the surface layer of the illusion, she affects reality. She affects the outcome. And that's what is coming to mind. So it's the mastery of our craft as manifestors in July. And then it also continues in August. August is the King of Cups. So if the Queen of Cups is that beautiful, feminine, wordless, psychic, deep healing and love, the King of Cups is like bringing that into structure. So it's like if the Queen of Cups in June represented like a mushroom trip kind of experience of like, wow, like pupils dilating and like, you know, everything God blooming before your eyes. It's like the King of Cups is then coming back into your human awareness and being able to hold that. That it doesn't just disappear. It wasn't just something you kind of remember experiencing when you were on mushrooms that one time. It's like, no, it completely changed who I am. I can hold it now. I can hold it for others. And the King of Cups to me has always represented like an energy of somebody who can hold deep, 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 non-judgmental healing space for others and not heal them, but just hold them while they heal themselves. He is like the King of Cups is like the lake basin and the shoreline that holds the turbulent waters, or the ocean bed that is steady while the waters are chaotic. He can hold somebody else in their chaos. It's like realizing our divinity and our healership. Realizing that we can hold this frequency and others can be, you know, chaotically thrashing about as they're trying to gather their bearings, and we can hold them. We don't need them to get through that stage. We don't need them to progress for our sake. We can hold them, but in holding them, they are then safe. They feel that safeness, they feel that steadiness, and they can come back to calm. We can hold the other beings of this world through their process and affect them immensely. So the next card for September is the Knight of Cups. So again, moving on with this theme of emotional mastery, the Knight of Cups is like the release of the idea that we need to save anybody, because we don't. Because their pain and their journey, their bad choices, everything that they are doing is fucking perfect. We don't need to change it at all. And that when somebody is ready to leave suffering, we can be there to assist them, but we don't have to save anyone. And that, in fact, by saving somebody, we deny them their power. It's like coming into such maturity and mastery that we don't need anything to be different. We don't need anybody to stop suffering so that we can feel stable in ourselves. And it isn't about spiritually bypassing suffering or turning a blind eye. It's just like the evolution of the savior complex. That is a big wound that a lot of starseeds and healers and light workers, etc., carry in this life. It's the releasing of that energy. And it is more like being able to sing and dance with your grace in the world in a way that bears witness and creates a monument, in a sense, to the suffering that exists and that is experienced. And for the card for the fourth quarter of the year, for the autumn leading into winter, is the Three of Pentacles. So back to the Pentacles, this is where we start to realize that we can combine all of this that we have achieved each individually through this year. We can now combine this together and exponentialize all of it. That on earth we appear to be separate, but it's true and it's an illusion all at the same time. That we are separate, but there is so much power in that, and on the bigger level, we're not separate. And that when we come together and bring our wholeness and our authenticity together, we're so powerful. We're so powerful. So the Three of Cups just speaks to that. And this is like, if you haven't found a coven or a soul family group, a mastermind, a community, something yet, if you haven't found your community of psychic beings, star seeds, healers, light workers, whatever, way showers, visionaries, shamans, shamanesses, whatever it is, if you haven't found that yet, you'll find it. This is a coming together, bringing together our heart-centered psychic activation in a group and working with these powerfully in a group together. The card for November is Divine Wisdom. And this is not a traditional tarot card. This is an addition by the card creator or the deck creator. But what it really means is like, especially in this context, it's like the revelation of truths about ourselves and probably truths about the human history and history on Earth that will completely, I feel like it won't change our self-awareness, but it will confirm what we've already known. It will just confirm everything and like set it, like it's like the annealing process. And then the final card, the card for December, is the Emperor. And this is a major arcana card, meaning it's like a big deal energy. And the Emperor to me is our divine right to take up space in all of our magnificent power. It is like it's the masculine, like, here I am, and here I am, and I have this is me, this is my power, I own it, it's here. And I feel like the culmination of this whole journey through the year is ultimately that we belong here. We have a right to be here. We have a right to be the masters of our manifestation abilities, the masters of our own creative magic and power. And when we arrive at December, it's like, yep, like we've gone through this whole journey to truly own it on a very profound level. And the card that I pulled I pulled a card from the Starseed Oracle just as like a bonus guidance card. And it is Breath of the Cosmos. And the words underneath say, my will to thy will, and micromanaging the universe. And the guidance is just, everything is happening for us. And I know that's like pithy new age wisdom, whatever, wah. But truly everything is happening for us. Everything that unfolds through your year this year is for you and will bring you into this next level of power. And this is even like a really nice, beautiful year. Looking at it, it's beautiful. But it's summoning us to our next level of power. And we are here for it. We are ready for it. We do not need to micromanage the universe. This is a co-creation. We are so powerful in our manifestations, but like our human ego selves, it's not, the human ego is not the divine master. It is the servant to the divine master of the breath of the cosmos, the universal intelligence to which we all belong. And that there is something so next level, so beautiful that we can create. There's a level of power that we can access that when we surrender to that divine will, we will see it. So my friends, perhaps you can hear I have a screaming baby in the background. It's a miracle that even gave me the time to do this. I hope that this reading was inspiring for you, and I love you so much. I have a few spaces left for my 2022 personal tarot and Akashic year ahead readings. I love doing these. It's like pretty much exactly the same format, but you also get to ask a question of the Akasha, and I just channel for you personally what this year is going to look like for you personally. So if you want one, please let me know. But also, may this reading serve you in navigating the beautiful energies of the year ahead. Welcome to 2022. I love you.